Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden at this typical winter day. You might even see there's still a little bit of snow lying here and there, but the ground isn't frozen, which means that I can get in here and do something with you. And what I want to do in today's video is I want to do a little bit of winter harvesting and cooking with you. And now you might think like that bloke has gone completely crazy. We're in the middle of winter, so what is he gonna harvest? And there are actually even two things that I can harvest with you, and I'm really excited to show you and talk you through a little bit. I'm already well prepared. I've got my little harvest basket here with the secateurs in there, and the garden fork is already waiting in the back where I want to go in there. So I hope you're excited about today's video because now I'm going to take you with me to the back of a garden. I am standing in the middle of a perennial border. You might think, what is he doing now? This is not the kitchen garden. This is not even the back of a garden down by the slope where he was growing his vegetables. What is happening now? And yes, this is where I'm harvesting, because what I'm harvesting today is actually a perennial. It is the Jerusalem's artichoke. And if you never heard of it, don't get misled by the name, because that is what happened to me. When I heard it first, I was like, ooh, what is that? Jerusalem's artichoke, like an artichoke coming from Israel. That must be delicious and amazing. And when I saw it, I was like, that isn't an artichoke. So I did my research, and apparently what happened is one of those typical moments lost in translation. So the English word originates from an Italian word that hasn't been translated. They would kind of just like use the Italian word, which is girasol. And if you would translate girasol into English, it means sunflower. So actually that is exactly what it is. The Jerusalem artichoke is part of the Helianthus family, and they are amazing perennials. And you could easily use them in your perennial border because they have glorious flowers. I can just show you, they dried off a little bit. I can't show you how the flowers looking now, obviously, but I have photos. So by the end of the video, I intend, if I don't forget, putting some photos, but you can tell very long stems, all the leaves gone off already, but they have really nice, lush, big foliage actually. And on each of top of each stem, they have these clusters. So you get to see the dried off head still of flowers. So they flower in yellow, kind of like daisy flowers because they're in the daisy family, with a brown center. Absolutely beautiful. And they grow to a quite impressive height for a perennial. They grow in between 2.5 to 3 meters, depending on the stem. Some stems are really 3 meters high here, so they're really towering on top of the border. And if you plan your perennial border, maybe this might be also interesting for you, because sometimes I feel like it can be a little difficult to find the right plant for the back of a border. And if you intend on putting something yellow in there, they are absolutely beautiful. When it comes to the right planting area, they like to sit somewhere in full sun, like most sunflowers actually do, if not all. I don't know about a single sunflower that likes to thrive somewhere in a partly shade condition. And they like a rich but very well drained soil, preferably even sandy soil. And when I heard they like a sandy soil, I was like, ding, 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 jackpot, that is what I have here. And they are happy here. One thing you might consider is they originate from North America and Middle America, and in their native habitat they can spread quite a lot. And in your garden they can develop to be a thug apparently. Not here. I'm gardening in a zone 7B. They are just thriving nice and well. They are very happy. But if you might be in a warmer climate, what you might want to think about is maybe put like a little barrier in your soil just around the tuber so that they don't overpower your entire border basically. So they grow as tubers actually. They are kind of looking a little lumpy, I'm going to show you in a moment, but they have an incredible good taste. You can eat them raw in a salad and you can boil them. So I intend on making a lovely soup with you tonight out of them. And when I grew up, I never heard of them, even though that they were quite popular in Europe a couple hundred years ago. But then the potato arrived, and the potato kind of like won the battle, because there's one big advantage that the potato has: it stores incredibly well, what the Jerusalem artichoke doesn't. Because the Jerusalem artichoke, you harvest it, you can put it in your fridge for a couple of days, but then you really need to eat it. It doesn't store well, definitely doesn't store well outside in your root cellar or basement or anything. And this is one of the things that you might need to consider maybe, but still definitely worth it. So what I want to do now basically is get in there with my garden fork and try and see what I can find. One last thing to say is, like, I grew it already for a couple of years here. It made it through different winters and really strong and hard winters. This is very sturdy, and I believe that it grows definitely down to a zone 6 definitely, if not even 5. Do your research, but I'm very sure that this works very well in your climate zone as well. Hope you're excited. The first thing I'm going to do is I'll get in with my secateurs to snip off some of these really long stems so it's a little more easy to get in there. Then I get my garden fork and I start harvesting. I can't wait to see what I'm going to find. So now we're down at the slope, and this is the area where I was growing most of my vegetables this year. And I showed you this area already in a couple of my previous videos, and I even showed you what I'm gonna harvest today. I'm really excited. Today I am going to harvest my kale. And as you might see, this is a purple variety and something that I've never grown before. And what excites me even more is that I started this off from seed earlier this year. So this entire cycle of fruit and vegetable gardening that I find really intriguing, that you put a tiny seed in a module, you nurture it, you put it into the ground, fingers crossed gonna grow and be happy, and now is a time like 8 or 9 months later where I can get in here and finally harvest it. So this is extremely exciting for me. I am from the north of Germany, and kale is one of the most typical winter vegetables there could possibly be. We always had it a couple of times during winter. Always a green one though, so I never had the dark ones. I'm really excited if there's a difference in taste, how it is. I think like visually it looks almost the same. The texture feels pretty much the same. I'm going to cook it different though. Like my mum would always make like with big slabs of pork, bacon and sausages, like obviously German cooking and sausages, hello. And that is a quite heavy dish in how she would make it. So this is not necessarily your preferred after Christmas diet dish. So I'm going to make like something different that is a little nice and easy, and also something that I would do in the past because it's like a nice, quick, easy thing that you could do when you come back from the office. And yeah, this is what I'm going to show you today. It also works really well, by the way, in a quiche. If you love to make quiche, that is so good in there. Trust me, the taste is impeccable in there. I just quickly want to tell you why I waited so long with the harvest, because it didn't grow for the past month or even 2. It just sat idle here and didn't do anything. But I'm waiting so long with the harvest because you really want to make sure that there's a good cold spell and a long night of frost, and this is exactly what happened. So we had -4 or 5 degrees for the entire night tonight, and what happens is that the frost triggers a chemical reaction inside the leaves of the kale. So all the sugar content that is in there is going to increase, so the kale gets sweeter, and everything that makes it bitter normally decreases, so you end up with a crop that is nice and sweet and tastes delicious. And the frost doesn't really do any harm to your plant at all. Like kale can easily withstand -10 degrees Celsius. So what I want to do now is basically come in with my secateurs and just snip it off at the base. And it looks so good. Just look at it. Isn't it perfect? I'm just going to give you a closer look at it, just so you get to see the color. I find the color so intriguing. It's all shades of blue, purple, red. The underside is green again. The stem is really lovely purple. And you see that a couple of leaves are stripped off already. So what happened is, earlier the year when I planted them, I think slugs and snails kind of discovered them, and then I started munching on them. I kind of gave up on my kale, and I thought, okay, it was an experiment, maybe it doesn't work out, maybe next year in a different location. But then after summer, what happened is like it put on a nice new top growth, and it looks so well. So I'm really happy with the result, and I'm really happy that I can harvest. Another bonus of this is you can just harvest everything if you wanted to now, so this is what I'm gonna do. Maybe I leave 2. Maybe I just leave 2, but most of them I'm going to harvest. Chop it up, put it into freezing bags, and off it goes into the freezer, because you can freeze them extremely well, and then just use the portions however much you need and want to have. Because like I'm not going to eat like an entire kale tonight. I just need a couple of leaves, and the rest, obviously, that is going to go into the freezer. But I'm excited for it. This is going to be so delicious, I'm sure. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is just get in here and continue with my harvest. I prepared everything for dinner and I'm hungry and excited. I can't wait to share it with you, because what I'm going to do now is actually something that also you can make very easily when you come back home from the office. You don't know what to do. This is just a quick dish, or 2 quick dishes actually, and there's soul food on top of it. So what more to ask for? You could see I prepared already everything. So for this soup, the Jerusalem artichoke, I just washed it, got rid of the skin, chopped it up, and since the soup will be blended, it doesn't really matter how big the pieces are actually. Chopped up a little bit of onion, so this is also depending on how much onion you like to have as a flavor in there. And then I chopped up half an apple. And this is kind of like typical Northern German. We always put some sweetish thing or fruity thing in a lot of our savory dishes, and I think this already ties back to Danish food as well. So when I was living in Copenhagen, I could see that typical Scandinavian food also has like often something fruity, something sweet in the savory dishes, and that is what I love Scandinavian food so much. And this is what I'm going to do here in this soup. So how it works, very easy and simple. You're just going to put a little bit of butter and oil in a pot. Put all of the vegetables in there, stir fry them for a couple of moments, make sure that they have a nice roasty aroma, really golden brown from all sides around, add salt and pepper, add water, and then you just let it boil for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. Then you come and blend everything. And there is a point when you want to make sure that the soup does not end up like baby food, because these blended soups, they can be too watery, they can be too much like a baby food texture, like a puree almost. So this is like a fine line when you want to make sure there's a nice creamy soup, and I also add some creme fraiche to it. So this is depending how much you like. I just put like maybe 2 teaspoons here, but even I like need to put it in there and see how it tastes, how everything comes together. But very easy and simple soup basically. In the end, you might just put a little bit of like a nice olive oil on top of it. One of those olive oils that you would use for making a salad, not like the frying olive oil necessarily. One of those that still has the particles and it's really nice, a little richer and good in flavor actually. So that's all there is for this soup. Super easy, super nice. And after like maybe 20 minutes, my soup will be ready already. Not, I think, max 20 minutes. Then the main dish. So what I did, most of the kale went straight into the freezer. I washed it, chopped it up into bags, into the freezer, and this is the amount that I'm going to eat and need for my dinner today. Then I just added some onion rings, and what happens with this, pretty much similar to what happens to the soup, I'm going to put it in a frying pan with a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, just fry it in there, and after a while I might add just a little bit of water, reduce the temperature of course, and just let it sit there for about 25 minutes I would say, because kale really needs good time to just like break down a little bit. Otherwise it can be a little bit too much like rabbit food, I sometimes think. So this is about the veggie. And then what I'm going to do is completely other to what most Germans would do. I'm not going to make potatoes with it. No, I'm going to make a pasta dish. And I've got lovely black pasta here. This is made out of black lentils actually. So it's also good for your low carb in the evening. And I even think that they taste really good, because it's like lentil taste is like Another nice taste level, and also in combination with the kale, really delicious. And then comes the soul food part, because I have got burrata here. So I'm going to put, because I eat it alone, I'll just use half burrata for myself. So I mix, when the pasta is ready, the pasta and the kale, mix it all together, put it on a plate, break the burrata just over it into pieces, and then I'm going to add some truffle olive oil, some truffle salt, and just a little bit of basil. Just chop it up, pour it over it, maybe a few cherry tomatoes if I feel like it. Well, I think I feel like it, to be honest. And that's pretty much it. So this is perfect timing because the soup will be ready before the main dish will be ready, which means I can make my soup, enjoy my soup, and then by the time I finish, I could just finish off my main dish and I'd be very happy, I think, by the end of the evening. So I'm excited. Let's get cracking and start the cooking. So this is how the soup looks like. You can tell, nice creamy texture, put a little bit of olive oil on top of it, some fresh ground pepper, and then just for the greens, some celery basically, and that's it. Can't wait. I tasted already and it tasted really well. All right, I'm excited. Can't wait. Just stir it up a little bit and see. Jerusalem's artichoke has a real distinct flavor, which I really like. And it's really there. Oh, I like it. This is so, so good. This is so exciting because it's one of those things where sometimes you forget about it because I really see it as a perennial, and then I remember like, oh yeah, they're the tubers. They're edible. You can eat them and you like them. And I really do like them. Oh, this is a nice start into my dinner tonight. So let me finish this off and then to the pasta dish. So clearly this is my highlight of the evening now, can't wait. Also, what is really interesting is that the kale, while the frying changed the color from purple to really dark green. Still different to the green kale though, I would say, but interesting. I was not see it coming, kind of like with the blue beans, like the variety Blauhilde that I normally grow. Once you boil it, it also changes color and it goes into dark green. So probably that's the thing with any kind of like, well, not everything. Eggplant stays kind of like the color that it has, but a lot of those other things that are purple, when you boil them or fry them, they change color. But anyways, let's dig in there. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Definitely have a little bit of the burrata on the fork as well. I mean, you're surprised that this is something that I do quite often. But the first time for a long, long time with kale. Oh, the kale is so good. Oh, really good taste. Let me just taste the kale just to see if it tastes different to the green one. No. No. It has a pretty color in your flower bed. And I could think that you could even, I mean, if you have a cottage garden anyways, like any kind of vegetable works. But since I think it looked really pretty, it would even work in kind of like a border planting or anywhere. Anyways, I'm gonna finish my dinner now. This is exciting, this is so good. I hope you had fun with today's video. It was a little bit of gardening, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of everything, and maybe I could inspire you to grow one of the plants that I was harvesting today, or maybe I could inspire you for your next dinner, who knows. I'm really happy to welcome you in one of my previous videos to come, and up until then, I wish you a wonderful day or evening. Take care, guys. Bye.